Dichotomy is defined as a division or contrast between two things that are or are represented as being opposite or entirely different. In this photograph, you'll see two subjects in stark contrast, working together to create a greater image. The contrast of the dark, gnarled, dormant tree in the foreground is in clear opposition to a brilliantly colored sunset that's full of life and vibrancy, illustrating that when combined, the end result can be quite brilliant and well-balanced. You see, life is full of dichotomies. They show up for us as tension in the go forward. In fact, we'll expend great efforts in our lives with the hope and byproduct of future rest and relaxation, only to find that stagnancy exists once we get there. And that stagnancy can lead to a myriad of ailments. In fact, we experience resonance in times of want and dissonance in times of prosperity. Just as a rubber band finds its intended use when stretched, so do we. Essential to our growth and by divine design, we learn that there must be an opposition in all things. In this, we're presented with one of the grandest dichotomies of life, new growth, and a brighter tomorrow can only come through the opposition of experience. Stoicism would teach us that the impediment to action advances action, and that those things that stand in the way become the way. This dichotomy is further confirmed in the applied study of physics, where we learn of Sir Isaac Newton's 3 laws of motion, specifically the third law, which states that for every action or force applied, there is an equal but opposite reaction. As we break this down and we look for specific application in our own lives, key in on the concept of force applied. In fact, Newton's first and second laws deal primarily with motion, rest, and momentum. From the first law, we learn that objects in motion tend to stay in motion, and objects at rest tend to stay at rest, unless there is an outside force acting upon them. From the second law, the rate of change of the momentum of a body is also directly proportional to the net force acting upon it. Dr. Carol Dweck, known for her prolific work on the psychology of mindset, further demonstrates the dichotomy of a growth mindset and a fixed mindset, and their associated outcomes. I have a theory I like to refer to as the sunset theory. I believe there exist two types of people in the world: those that will stop and make the time for a sunset, and those that won't. Those that are taken back by its incredible beauty and gift, as opposed to others who refuse to make the space for it in their lives. Those undecided and stuck in the in-between may argue that time constraints don't always allow for this indulgence. With that, I'd openly challenge our individual schedules to make the adjustment and allocate the time. In building upon last week, and back to my sunset theory, we can choose to see opposition and dichotomy as problematic or essential. Where we place our focus, what we feed, our energy will tend to follow. When we engage in the intentional pursuit of a better tomorrow, it will always be met with a tacit call to action and an imbalanced requirement that we may not have anticipated nor desire, which really brings us then full circle. In this dichotomy called creative tension, where new growth happens by choice, when we start to stretch ourselves beyond our present capability by navigating through and enduring the muck, it is then that we find our most fruitful outcomes. Enjoy the journey. Realize that in all creative work there exists a necessary tension. Learn to recognize its presence and be willing to lean into the invitation of growth. Life's most beautiful vistas live in this sacred dichotomy. If this week's message has impacted you, share it. If it can be of help to someone you care about, share it with them. As I've stated before, I believe the greatest gift in our mortal lives is the gift of choice. How we honor that gift will shape the eternities. May we each honor the gift. Until next week, my friends, make it a great one.